Hello, mate.
What's happening, buddy? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I've had a bit of a hectic kind of half an hour. The street is covered in snow, so I've had to push like countless cars up the street this evening.
But it looks hectic. Where you're up in Scotland, right?
Yeah, man, it's like properly hectic. It's like I think when I measured yesterday, it was 9 inches, so it's a lot. And there's a hill like literally outside this window, and for some reason, people still seem to think it's acceptable to take a two-wheel drive car out in this weather. So today's workout was pushing multiple transit vans up a hill.
Nice, man. Well, that'll do it, won't it? That'll do it for
For
sure.
sure. How are you?
Yeah, mate. All good. We got nothing. I'm in Bristol, and we've got like nothing here. Every day, my girlfriend's like waking up. It's cold enough for it to settle, but there's just nothing coming down. It's like bleak.
I think like the Amazon Alexa said it was like -10 this morning when I got out of bed. It's properly cold up here for some reason. I don't know why my brightness, I don't know, my brightness
I don't know.
like my phone keeps going to sleep. But never mind. We'll just roll with it.
Okay, cool. Mate. Before we get into stuff, I gotta say the rugby at the weekend. Sure, you must have watched it, surely.
Of course, mate. Of course.
What a, like just unbelievable performance.
It's so good, mate. Just like I I was texting like my father-in-law whilst they were playing, and just he said to me, "He's like, mate, I'm looking for the smelling salts. Like, what's even happening?" It's
Yeah,
just as a Scotland fan, it's the most frustrating thing because ordinarily it's just so many handling errors. Like
yeah,
we just are like the absolute kings of knock on. Like if we're playing, if we get any form of an opportunity, it's usually just a knock on, and it's the most frustrating thing as a fan.
yeah.
But to watch that, it was like a different team. It was the best thing ever, mate.
Mate, it was a joke. Like those two spirals Hog put into the corners, and like Gray was just on fire. Just like a few of your boys. I saw someone comment, "What's the back row's name? Is it Watson?"
Yep.
Someone was like,
Hamish Watson is an absolute beast, mate.
"Mate, he's a freak." Someone I saw a comment earlier. Someone was like, "I don't know whether he's made of rubber or titanium."
He's the guy with the
Bounces
dodgy
people
bonnet.
all
He's
over.
got like a mullet. His hair is absolutely awful, and it's intentional. Like it's the
Yeah.
worst haircut ever. But yeah, he's a bruiser, mate.
You can't have a lid like that and like be shit.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, it was good. The laptop battery died with like 10 minutes to go,
Oh no.
and I couldn't find my charger, and I was like freaking out. So I ended up watching the last 10 minutes on my phone. But then
Yeah.
my phone battery is like 10% remaining. So I better make it. No one was allowed to speak. No one was allowed to touch anything. Just leave me alone. I
Yeah.
just want to watch the end of the rugby here. It was good.
Mate, well, I'm from Cardiff originally, so this weekend's the big one,
Yeah.
Scotland Wales, and Wales just like littered with injuries, mate. Like painful. I looked at the team sheet come out today, and I was like, oh, because it was bad before the tournament started, and now like Lydiat's out, and the centre I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's banned. Yeah, it's not looking pretty. So we'll see what
Not
happens.
for you anyway, but I think like I don't know if you saw it on my story. As soon as we won last weekend, I was like, I put up a story just with tiny letters, and it just said "championships in the bag, mate," just to see who would take the bait. I
Yeah,
got quite a lot of abuse, but historically, every year for like the last thick end of a decade, I've placed a bet on Scotland to win the championship
yeah.
because I'm like, one of these times it'll come off. Anyway, last year I stopped, and this year I didn't bother either, and I'm already regretting that decision.
The odds are like I bet they've completely flipped on their head after that opener.
Yeah, I said that to Sarah. I was like, I'm not even going to look at the bookies because I don't gamble anyway, but like it would piss me off to see how much they've been decimated because they're usually like minute the chances of Scotland winning anything other than beating Italy.
Do you know? Do you know if you've got France home or away?
I
That's
haven't actually checked. I've been really, really bad this year in that. Like, I just rely on again my father-in-law texting me all of the fixtures because he's got the benches at Scotland, so we can usually go and watch, but obviously not just now, which is a shame.
yeah, mate, for sure. It's a bit eerie, isn't it? Like no fans in the stadium,
I
but
just miss going. I love going to the rugby, man. Like, I think it's such a good day out. I miss it. It's one of the things I do miss from normal life.
yeah, for sure, mate, for sure. All right, should we get going with everything?
Do it, man. I'm happy when you are. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, mate. Well, you're properly snowed in. You literally can't go anywhere.
And well, to be honest with you, I am going somewhere. I'm going to bed sharpish because I've got I'm up at 3 again for one of these 3:30 calls to Australia first thing in the morning.
Yeah, so I saw that on your story. You're doing the muscle,
Muscle nerds.
muscle nerds course, right? Yeah, well, that leads us quite nicely into what I wanted to talk to you about, actually, because like one of the things that I've been noticing, a lot of the people I'm speaking to during lockdown are just struggling with just general feeling a bit lethargic, struggling with like mental health and all that sort of stuff. And I've been thinking it over, and one of the things that, you know, I'm sure, well, from your stories and like the content you put on Instagram, one of the things you do really well is you have like a real daily routine, right? And that's something, having transitioned, like being self-employed about 2 years ago and working from home, that was something I realized quickly. I was like, right, I've got to get that nailed down, because otherwise I'm climbing the wall. And I think other people now, you know, being forced being at home, not having to go into the office, not having that structure of getting up in the morning, having to have a shower and all that sort of stuff. People are just like slobbing out, you know, no showers, starting work at 9 in the pajamas on their lap,
Yeah.
and sitting around going, you know, I don't feel good, and can't work out why. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was like, what's your daily routine look like? We can start with the morning and just like work the way through and kind of dissect it to give people some ideas of what, you know, what they can be doing to help them out.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think like more than ever, routine is important. I think without routine, in the way that I'm wired, the way that my brain works, without routine, you basically have chaos. And it's just, that's not, I don't think that's a universal truth. That's not for all personality types, but certainly for my personality type, that is the case.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the reason why I'm so big and such a big fan of routine is that when you have a routine, it removes any of the kind of emotional decision making. So it's like, it doesn't matter what you feel like. I said that when I was speaking to Dean Hammond on Instagram the other week, like, fuck what you fancy. And it's the same thing. It's like, if you have a routine in place, it's not about what you want to do. It's about what you do because it's who you are at a kind of identity level.
Yeah.
So I'm like massive on that. And morning, let's start with that. Because that's obviously the natural place to start, like you say. I think my morning routine kind of evolves with the seasons. And I know you're kind of big on all this as well, but when we consider circadian rhythm, like we've evolved to rise and fall asleep with the light. And in Scotland, certainly, I was having this joke with someone tonight. There is no daylight in the winter. Like there is none. Like the sun goes down at like 3:30, 4, and it comes up at like 9 in the morning. So I naturally sleep longer in the winter. I don't fight it and feel like I've got to be some martyr for a cause that, well, I've made myself into this bed of being the early morning guy. Now I've got to keep doing it in the winter. So I do sleep about an hour later in the winter. And in the morning, in the summer, there's a lot more robust kind of planning in a morning routine. Like I do a lot more because I've got more morning to play with. Yeah. In the winter, that routine becomes leaner and more like, what are the absolute essentials? So the first thing, without any question, actually, hold on a minute, they're right here. So the first thing I do is I look like I'm going to the dentist when I put these on. Have you seen these?
I have not seen those.
So like they're like the opposite to what I have on my eyes right now.
Yeah.
Right. So like I'll put them on top of them because I suppose they've not got frames in them. So they sit like that, right?
Yeah.
I push them on. They're called retimers, and like you can see inside here, they've got little blue lights or green lights, as the case may be. So effectively, like, given that we're meant to get outside and get some blue light in our eyes first thing in the morning, there isn't any at 5:30. So I put them on. And honestly, mate, my entire circadian rhythm has been better as a result of using these. And I've got no affiliation, so there's no benefit to me to say that without it being true.
Yeah.
But they're great.
What's that?
RE timer.
Timer.
So they were like 170 quid or something like that. I used to use the ones that go in your ear, the human charger.
Uh-huh.
I rated them, but I felt like just treating myself, and I rate them highly. So I banged them straight on. And you walk around, okay, you look like you're at the dentist. You look like a bit of a helmet, but who sees you? Yeah. So I'm just like, it's just me and the dog, so it doesn't matter. So yeah, put them on, and then priority kind of number one is just getting some hydration in. So I start with 1 litre of water every day. Straight in with
salt, sea salt, or
pink sea salt. I put a bit of lemon in there as well, just because. Moreover, because I like the taste, it takes the saltiness away from it. I don't care for the taste of salty water. Yeah. I usually put in electrolytes in there. That's purely just my choice. I've pretty bad cramp, so I tend to use electrolytes first thing in the morning, and then a green supplement.
Okay, cool.
which is something that would be nice to see from you guys at some point, actually.
Yeah. Well, mate, there's so many ideas in the pipeline. So many ideas.
So I rate that combination, and I just crush like a liter of water. It's like it's nothing. And when I look back on my old corporate life, I wonder how I ever started the day without water. Like it blows my mind that there are people in the country who get up and their first priority is a diuretic. Like it hurts my head.
Yeah.
So once I've got that down me, then we're immediately on to making a coffee, because not only like I just love coffee, Josh. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think like should it be first thing in the morning? Probably not. Like straight up, like if we consider it from an adrenal perspective, it's probably not amazing for you. But I love a cup of coffee, man. And I'm going to always putting in the lion's mane, so that's going in. MCT oil.
With the coffee, exactly. And loads of people say this, like in the health field, they're like, avoid coffee until after your first meal or whatever. But I think the main sort of school of thought behind that, right, is that coffee stimulates hydrochloric acid production. So if you're chugging down a liter of water, that's going to be putting something in your stomach to protect the stomach lining. And then if you add in some form of fat, like I know you're a fan of the MCT, into the coffee, that gives something else for the hydrochloric acid to buffer with as well. So it's like it'll protect your stomach lining to an extent. And like you said, you love a coffee. I'm exactly the same. I love a coffee in the morning as well. So I can't.
Don't pick your vice, right? Like I don't think that's the worst vice to have. Is I'm a sucker for a morning cup of coffee. I just like, and I've said it a lot to my clients, is that like I make it the devil's in the detail with everything. And like I painstakingly like make a really, really good cup of coffee. Like we're not doing like there's no pre-ground beans or any of that nonsense in this house. Like we're grinding beans. We're making like, and I'm just AeroPress is just easiest for me. Put in some lion's mane, some MCT. I actually quite like it with a wee bit of butter as well. It just brings it out a lot better for me, and blend that up. And I've got my little workshop coffee Keto ceramic mug that it's a glass mug actually. I can't get past it. Like I absolutely love it. So like I sit, and it's like, honestly, the highlight of my entire day most days is just sitting down in the quiet of morning with my idiot glasses on and a really good cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And just me and the dog. And it's like absolute heaven on earth. So I sit in peace and quiet, have my coffee. But one of the golden rules is I'm big on controlling my inputs.
Yeah.
In the morning, so my phone stays on do not disturb. Like you can't get me. I can't put it on flight mode in case my son or whatever needs me, so it's on. But I don't check any notifications. I don't go on anything internet related. The only app I'm allowed to open in the morning, well, there's two, is Kindle or Aura. They're the two apps that I'm allowed to use. Everything else is off limits.
Is that like the first hour of the day, or how do you...
Like until my morning routine's kind of run, until I'm kind of getting into going to work, really. So typically that comes off it comes off towards the end of my morning routine, because I usually put up a picture of my breakfast. So it's like the smoothie that has become like the butt of many internet jokes in the last few weeks. But ultimately, yeah, I'm a big fan on, like, I don't think you should be going on Instagram or email, because one leads to the other. It's a very insidious kind of rabbit hole. You open Facebook, then you're on WhatsApp, then you're on Instagram, then you're on your work email, your personal email. Before you know it, 25 minutes has passed and you're stressed out your eyeballs. I don't believe it to be conducive to a good morning routine. So for me, once I've had that cup of coffee and sat with the dog, then in the winter just now, I'm actually just going through a ROM WOD at the moment. I'm really enjoying going back to it. I signed back up to it after a long hiatus, and just flounder around on the living room floor with the fire on, put the fire on, and just wallow about. I love it. And then every morning, 20 minutes of reading for work, non-negotiable. So it's not allowed to be like pleasure reading in the morning, but they are one and the same for me. So yeah, like 20 minutes of reading, and then we're good. Like in the summer, as you know, like down by the beach, get myself into the sea at all costs. But I mean, -10 in the beach don't sound like a good combination.
Yeah, well, you got the wetsuit right as well, so that helps a little.
I mean, yeah, it helps. But I said when I was on Dean, a mate of mine's Instagram TV live the other day, and I was telling him, and I'd never really mentioned it before, but I got a bit of a fright in the water towards the back end of like autumn, where I went in and Sarah was in the car, but the car was, you can't really see the beach like where I was. So you know the bit that I jump off in the summer, like there's a kind of pier that I will go and jump off. I jumped in with the intention of swimming back to the beach. And it's a good distance, but I did not anticipate the swell, and I did not take into consideration the fact it was dark and the conditions were really, really suboptimal, and it was freezing cold. And never before, never in my whole life have I been as scared as I was in that moment. I was like, hold on, I've got a whole newfound respect for the sea. So even with my wetsuit, mate, I'm not brave enough to go down just now.
Mate, I had a shock like that as well. I was in Bath Weir, and there's a little jetty bit, and I dived in, and I've come out way colder than I was expected, like lost my breath, and I'm like 10 meters away from where I dived in. I'm shit, and I'm like swimming against, because that's the only bit you can get out. By the time I got out, it was like 5 minutes took me to get back to where I jumped in. I was like shattered, you know.
It really takes it out, doesn't it? It's so much harder than you anticipate. And then, like, I was swimming with wetsuit boots on the lot, and I was just like, I had my watch on, so my heart rate was something frightening me. It wasn't fun. But yeah, in the summer, I like to try and get my feet on the ground and just get outdoors. But this time of year, I don't mind being the lunatic that'll stand in the front door, like out in the front garden in his bare feet. I have no problem with that. But I went out to take the mail from the postie today in my bare feet. And he was like, are you all right? Like, there's 9 inches of snow. I mean, my feet aren't going to fall off, mate. I'll be fine. So yeah, I think like right now that is the length of my morning routine. It's just nice and kind of lean. But in order that anyone listening could get something back that's kind of more plug and play and a little bit more tangible, like, so one of the trainings that I kind of deliver to my clients is called the Mqt Formula. So it's effectively like a plug and play framework to take, because what I do might not be great for what you want your morning to look like, and I don't really believe anyone else's morning routine should be any of your concern. But the kind of pillars maybe should be, like the ethos and principles should be. So for me, the Mqt Formula is 3 sort of 20-minute periods where we look at movement, mental clarity, and mental growth. So I'm a big fan of like some form of movement, be that raw mod or run, even if it's just stretching, yoga, anything like that. Or you can just go, if you want to go ham, knock yourself out. Or then we've got mental clarity. So I'm a big fan of a meditation, big fan of some breath work, something like that, just getting centered for the day. And then mental growth. I genuinely think that most people's brain state in the morning allows them to learn, but they don't take advantage of it because they're so fucked from an inefficient day. Their circadian rhythm is so buggered that they're just so tired, and they're immediately going for coffee, and the kids are running riot and all the rest of it. For me, mental growth in the morning, be that an audiobook, be that a podcast, be that an actual book, be it a paper, even if you're struggling, you actually are going to work. I talked to the guys about commuter university, put an audiobook on. Like, you're still in a good place to receive that information in the morning, I think.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's funny you like the way you laid that out, because I was just putting fitting my own morning routine into it, and like you said earlier, one of the things with my morning routine is I don't like to be rigid, so I'll change it quite often, because in the past I found that working with like bodybuilder sort of clients and stuff, where you can get quite neurotic over, right, this needs to be done, and this needs to be done, and this needs to be done. If you don't nail it, then it messes your brain up. So I'm trying to be quite flexible with it generally, but at the moment it's wake up. If the sun's out or there's like any sort of sign of sunlight, I'll expose my eyes to the sunlight as soon as possible because I don't have the spot glasses. And then it's mobility. And I want to speak to you about ROMWOD actually, because is it worth it? Is it worth getting it?
Like, it's worth doing the free trial. At least you'll get a week for nothing. You'll have to put your card details in. It's one of those free trials, give us your card details and we'll give you something for free. That doesn't sound like it works, but yeah, I love the matter of fact, down to business kind of approach. You start the video and it's like pose 1 and it's straight in, and it's basically yoga. So like, that's one of the things from the normal world that I do miss is a hot yoga class. So for me, it's I like it. They're 20 minutes long. They're punchy. There's regressions and progressions. They put on a bit of chilled music in the background. There's kind of like, your standard yoga. There's basically a panpipe playing at some stage. And then there's like some sort of weird jungle drum that tells you when you've finished each pose. Like, so I don't have to open my eyes. I generally do the whole class with my eyes closed.
Okay.
But I love it, mate. Yeah, I think it's good. It just replaces the more intense exercise that suits me in the summer months. Like, I'll usually run in the summer months. I like to just go and run or swim in the sea or something like that.
Yeah, well, I think with the mobility for me, it's like I've started doing that over maybe the last year, and it's just made such a difference to my gen.
Mm.
That's like get out, being able to get out of bed and just feeling fresh every day. And you wouldn't think like 5 minutes of mobility in the morning and chucking in a bit in between before you train would make such a difference. But yeah, so that's what mine looks like. I do expose eyes to the sun, bit of mobility. At the moment, I'm on breath work, so I'll do like a 15-minute breath work thing and audio book on with my coffee, make notes, and then off to the races. And then that, and the other big thing, like you said, is no phone until I'll turn my phone on to be able to listen to the audio book. But I try and be disciplined with myself that nothing gets checked until that's done, you know?
I'm just looking out the window and thinking someone's about to come to my front door. If that is the case, you'll have to excuse me for a bit.
Yeah, no.
I think, like you've just said it yourself, like that framework that I've kind of put together for my clients, your routine fits squarely into. So it's like, this is the thing, is like, I don't think that it is someone coming to the door. Excuse me for a second, okay?
The name first, Marco, is Romwod, ROM space WOD. It's an app, but I think they got a website as well.
Just make yourself at home, Kev. I'm back.
All good?
So yeah, Sarah's uncle's just popped round, so it's like he's doing some work in the garage. He's doing some. He's a joiner, so I don't know if you know that I'm turning the garage into a gym.
Yeah, so I didn't. I saw a story the other day. Yeah, like you're right at the beginning stages, right?
Yeah, like literally just bought the bits, and Kev's a joiner, so it makes sense to keep it in the family. So he's presumably turning up to have a look at that. But I mean, he arrived at the front door, I think, expecting to go in the garage, and has realised that he might not be able to get his car back out the street. So I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I think like morning routines don't have to be so rigid, Josh. Like I think like having a framework that gives you categories that you should fit, that are important to you, not just to someone else, but important to you and your identity and your lifestyle. Then, of course, you can just kind of slot bits in to suit months, moods, times. Like if you're on holiday, you can still run an Mqt formula just in a really condensed manner. Like how we get, like when Sarah and I went, when you could go on holiday, remember those? Yeah. So when we last went on holiday in 2019, we went away to the States, and I ran the Mqt formula. I would get up in the morning and I just did like my age and burpees every morning. Like I just got up and was like, right, I'm just going to do 31 burpees. Yeah. Did burpees. My mental growth was just always like, while Sarah's in the shower, I'm just going to read a couple of pages of my book. And my mental clarity was always like, I can always fit in some box breathing first thing in the morning. It's easy enough to do. And I just, that was it. And the whole thing, minus the time when Sarah was in the shower, took me 5 minutes.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the big things about it, right? It's like just being able to do something and being able to be flexible with it. If you've only got 10 minutes, or, you know, days change, right? You might have, like you tomorrow, you've got your 3 a.m. Start. So I guess doing that before, but you might fit it in when you finish or whatever, you know?
100%. It's like a 3-hour call, so you better believe I'm not doing it before. Like I get up in the morning, but don't get me wrong, I'll still put these on. I'll still have my water. I'll still take any vitamins and minerals that I would normally take. So the first kind of like core element is taken care of irrespective of time. I'll still make myself a coffee. I'll still make it the same way. I'll just sit with it on the call. Yeah. So the reading and the mobility later in the day.
Yeah. That's really cool, mate. And I think that's one of the like super inspiring things about the content you put out, because it's so consistent. And I think that's, you know, like a lot of people will maybe get the idea to do something like this and they'll be bang on it for like a week, and then it, you know, it just starts slipping. But I think one of the key things is like the discipline of being able to stay with it long term. That's where you're going to really see the effects. I say to people, it's like going to the gym. You know, you go to the gym for a week, you're not going to see much of a difference. But if you're able to do it for a year, then you're going to start seeing some real growth. So yeah, mate, it's really cool how you can just like string it together, and how consistent you are, and also how consistent you are in sharing it. Because like I get inspired by some of the stuff you do. Is class.
Thank you, mate. I think that's one of the things. Obviously, like part of the business is now mentoring coaches, and one of the things that I hear a lot from aspiring coaches who want to do well in their own coaching business is that, you know, I struggle to get the right type of clients, and I struggle to, you know, engage with an audience, and I'll look through their content. It's like, I'm going to watch your content for a couple of weeks and I'll come back to you. And 10 times out of 10, there's no evidence. There's no evidence of them having any lifestyle that's consistent themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. For me, most coaching businesses should be in some way aspirational. So it's like, I always say to the coaches, like, do you get up and like, do you crush some water and some vitamins and minerals, like, and do you have, like, for me, I have the same breakfast. That smoothie goes in every day, and it's the same smoothie. The recipe doesn't change, and I post it every day. And Sarah's always like, Christ, that's the most boring thing ever on your story. Like, we get it, you have a smoothie, but people are like, the people that I aspire to, I always look at and think, you've got things on lockdown. Like, you just have, like, there's no negotiables. Like, you know what you're doing. Yeah. And it's the same thing. And it's consistency, like you say. And it's that transparency in that consistency that you can actually see that they do it. It's not just all talk.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, I post up that smoothie every morning, and the number of people that, like, someone once asked me, like, for the exact quantities of things that went in it. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't weigh anything. I just throw it all at the blender and hope for the best. But now I put that up on my story once, and now every morning someone asks me how many blueberries are in it, or
what. So what is the smoothie? Break it down.
Like, there's no real science to why it's all the way it is, other than just it's delicious. So like every morning there'll be like 4 whole beetroots that go in it, a good bit. Why is it a thumb of ginger? It doesn't even look like a thumb. That's one of life's biggest mysteries. If your thumbs look like ginger, you've got big problems.
Yeah.
So ginger, beetroot, blueberries, spinach, and then I use maca. I'm a big fan of maca. Like, I really like that as an ingredient. Oats, whey. Have I missed something? I don't even know. I don't think so. And then just blend that baby up, and then avocado.
What?
And then
just breakfast every morning.
Every day. And then this morning I ran out of avocado, so it felt really thin, because it doesn't have, when you add avocado to a smoothie, you basically make it like chewable. Like, it was crap.
Gives that like creamy consistency, avocado, right?
Yeah.
Boost the other week. So good.
So good, mate. So good. So yeah, I have that every day, and it's just like, I don't.
What time is that?
Like half 7, something like that. So I get up at 5:30, and that's about 7:30. So I have about 2 hours. And to be honest with you, I'm not exactly starving at that moment in time. It just suits the rest of my morning, because I typically walk the dog thereafter.
Yeah. And
then once I've walked the dog, I come in, I have a shower, finish on a cold shower, and then get to work. There isn't much spare time once I get back.
Yeah. Okay.
And then typically I'll spend the next 2 hours on Zoom. So it would be 11 if I didn't eat at 7.
Yeah. Well, that's my first meal, man. 10:30, 11 o'clock every day. But I'm big on fasting, so just.
And I think I would be as well. Like, I've done a bit. I just don't know if it's ever really stuck for me, and it's just, I think it's an old habit that's dying hard. Like, I used to train first thing in the morning, so that smoothie used to go in when I came back from the gym, and it's just stuck.
Yeah. So okay, right. So that takes you through to 11 o'clock. Are there any things that you like fit in throughout the day to like keep you, any sort of routine things that you do throughout the day outside of work, or do you step breath work, anything like that?
I have basic rules for my day, and this is one thing that I talk to clients about a lot, because a lot of time they want to talk to me about productivity and how they improve it and how they get through that classic 3 p.m. coma that comes across people. Like, how do you break that? I think it's about having rules that are non-negotiable for your life. So for me, like, say I speak to, on average, 10 to 15 clients per day, right? For me, every 3 to 4 clients, I have to leave the desk. I'm not allowed to work anymore. Like, I make myself take a break, because I think you just become like brain dead, for want of a better way to describe it. I need to move. So I've got a sit-stand desk. It's currently on sit mode, but like, I'll just chuck it up when I'm working. And I like to move and make sure I'm not stagnant for too long. But then at my 3 to 4 client break, I'll make sure I get a bit of a stretch. Maybe even if you just sit in a deep squat for a bit, just let your hips do something different. Yeah. Stretch it out. I very rarely do much in the way of breath work in the day. When I do, I'll do the Wim Hof guided breathing bubble. Have you done that?
Yeah, I've done it. Before, a while ago, and I was doing the Wim Hof one he's got on YouTube. Have you ever done that?
I've not done the YouTube one. Now, is it worth doing?
I'll be honest with you, you take off a little bit. Probably not the best thing to be doing. Like,
it's probably the same one as on the app then. Like, the one on the app is like, aggressive breathing, and then you have the exhalation, hold on an empty, and just see how long you go. And you seem to go for like an eternity without breathing.
Yeah.
And it all gets a bit spacey. Like, I love it. So if I have a particularly stressy day, and they're few and far between, I couldn't tell you the last time I had a day where I was like that. I will go and lie on the bed, because you have to lie down to do it, man. You'd be on your arse otherwise. Lie down and go full Wim Hof. But yeah, I don't really have any kind of like organized punctuation in my day other than the 3 to 4 client rule, bit of stretching, bit of movement. Try and get outdoors, even if it's just stand with a coffee in the back garden. Again, just some daylight, because think about how we live right now in lockdown. Some people won't leave their house.
That's a massive one for me, mate. It's been like getting out in nature on days that I don't train. So I'll normally do like a decent training session every other day.
Yeah.
Days in between, I'll like do a longer mobility or whatever. But on those in between days, it'll be like I have to get out for a walk in nature. So just even if it's just from my door, like I'm lucky I live out in the countryside, so I can just jump out and I'll be in hills. But if I'm in the house all day, I'll notice my mood, and the longer I'm in the house, the more I tend to be like on devices, and it's just like you get sucked in and you get that dull headache, and yeah, just feel like sort of go into a zombie mode. You know what I mean?
100%. I always see in your stories when you're out and about, and always looks really good. It's just the same with me, like a bit of time in green space for me to see, but like in green space as well.
Yeah.
Like I mean that is proven. We don't need to discuss that. Like, green space is good for you. It will significantly lower your blood pressure just getting out and getting in some forest bathing. But most people won't do it just now. Certainly not in Scotland, because everything's white and you can't move. But
just got to make the effort, and that's the thing. It comes back to that discipline, right? Like you've just got to, it's got to be a non-negotiable, because it's so easy. It's something weird, like in the human brain, where you're like, right, I know it's good for me to go outside, and I know I'm going to feel better when I come back, but I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to put the TV on. You know, like people, you know, that's just kind of be like people just tend to do that, but you've just got to be like, right, no, I'm not doing that. I'm getting outside, and you always feel better for it.
I just don't get the TV thing. But it's very difficult, because you end up just sounding like a self-righteous prick. But I don't get the TV thing, Josh. It doesn't. I have no interest in it. Sarah likes to watch TV at the end of the night, so I get up before Sarah. I have my me time, and then she has hers in the evening when I go to bed. And I genuinely think that's the secret to a happy relationship, is you can't just be with each other all the time, especially not right now in lockdown, because you are just like in close quarters all the time. So she gets a couple of hours when I go to bed, and she'll watch whatever trash she wants to watch. She likes TV. Every night I'll come down and I'm putting together like my evening supplements or whatever, and I'll go through to say night to Sarah, and I'm just like, I always take the piss out of her. I just don't get the attraction to this at all. Like, give me a book all day long, but I don't know if I'm just the weirdo.
Yeah, mate, that's great. To be fair, like I'm a sucker for like a series, like a good series, or like my worst thing is YouTube, like watching the build up to the UFC or like all the embeddeds, or like I can't help myself. But it's the same thing. It's just like I give myself a period where I'm like, right, I finish my work. I've got an hour now. I can watch a bit of TV, chill out. But then it's like, right, that goes off, and now 8:30. When 8:30 is my cut off, 8:30, airplane mode, devices go off, and then the evening routine starts. So yeah, on that point, what's your sort of like wind down routine at the end of the day?
I think before I answer that is like one thing on TV. I don't watch any TV at night, but I am guilty of watching a little bit with my lunch. I will always put something on my phone. Yeah. Whilst I'm cooking lunch, whilst I'm making lunch, there's not much cooking. You've probably seen my story. It's much like the smoothie. It's the same bloody salad every day with either tuna or salmon. It doesn't get any more exciting than that.
Yeah.
But like I try and I have the Aubrey Marcus eat a weird lunch. I'm a big fan of that. Like, how many weird ingredients can I buy from the shops that I have no idea what they are? Just pile them on a plate and hope that this salad turns out well.
Own the day book.
Yeah, it's like
I've got
like my guide to life, mate.
Right, it's ready to be read.
It's like that one there. I think that like I watch a little bit at lunch, but like getting onto your question, like evening routine, probably like the precursor to a good wind down routine. Let me close the door again. The dogs just decided to open the door. There we go. clever Labrador that can open doors. It serves me right for not closing it properly. Evening routine is probably more important than the morning routine for me, because I'm like so big on the quality of my sleep.
Yeah.
I think when Sarah first met me, she thought it was a touch weird. Like, this guy's maybe a bit strange. Like, the glasses, the lot. Like, what do I do with an evening routine? I make sure I come away from the screens as early as I can. Now, I'm going to put my hands up and say that as a self-employed individual, there are nights where that completely goes down the shitter, and it stresses me out. But occasionally you've got to make those sacrifices with a business, I think. So some nights, one night a fortnight, I find myself strapped in and I'm just like, I'm stuck in a task till 9 o'clock. Okay, not ideal. But ordinarily away from the screen about 5, 6 p.m., wind down. I really enjoy cooking dinner. I feel like dinner should be, and I say this to my clients, it should be some sort of transitional phase where you take your work hat off and you put your home hat on. And if you're not cooking dinner, that's your first problem. Why not? Like, if someone else is doing it, fine, but you should be cooking it, and it should be like an enjoyable and kind of ceremonious process for me. Like, I love cooking.
Yeah.
So like, I love putting on like throw the Sonos on, have a good playlist on, get all the ingredients out, and just like have a bit of a party of it. That's like the first of my calming measures. And then I tend to take a bit of ashwagandha around dinner time, like start my kind of descent into what is attempted a coma every night. And then once Sarah and I will finish dinner, we'll always take the dog out, and I find that really helps with digestion for starters, but it also helps because you can't be on a device. So we'll do a good 40-minute walk. It just makes me feel a lot better. Come back in, really, really, really hot shower. And then that's about an hour before bed. So that really hot shower makes me sweat like nothing on earth. And then my body forces, like, obviously, as you know, we want to be cooler for bed. So that drop in body temperature, again, helps with my sleep. And then I'm not particularly fancy in the evening. Like, I make sure that I get my glasses on around 4 p.m., calm down with dinner, walk the dog, hot shower. And then every night, ashwagandha, magnesium bisglycinate. And then maybe melatonin. It just depends on where I'm at. Like, I'll take some tonight because you and I are chatting just now. Ordinarily by now I'd be a lot more wound down.
Yeah.
I said that. Sarah was like, it's really unusual for you to agree to do something at this time of night.
Well, mate, thank you. I appreciate it.
She was criticising me at dinner. I was eating my dinner and she was like, you're eating quite quick. I was like, I've got to speak to Josh and I don't want to have like food in my teeth or something like that.
Especially with your 3 a.m. start. Like, I appreciate it.
So yeah, like, the evening routine doesn't have to be any fancier than that, I don't think. But I make sure that, like, I prefer a book, and I always implore, like, a lot of my clients have historically had quite a lot of problems with evening routines because the TV thing's a very hardwired behavior. It's a very, like, there's often 3 decades of enforcement to that behavior. They've just always done it, and they're now in their 40s, and as an adult, they've just always done it. You're like, it's a hard one to break. So for me, prepping for the next day is big. So I put that picture up quite a lot where I'll have the AeroPress out, funnel on the top, water in kettle for the morning, beans in the grinder ready to go, lion's mane out, all of it, coconut. They've all got spoons next to them. I think people think I'm a bit weird, like, when they see it. Water's made, ingredients are in the water, that's good to go, vitamins are out, mugs are out, the lot. It's just all like, it's just military precision. And then in the morning, I've just got to wake up and just press buttons and do things so the tired mat doesn't have to deal with it. But the point I'm getting at in a very long-winded manner here is, by doing that, you can't be on devices when you're doing tasks like that.
Yeah.
They're all very manual and analog. So by doing that, by prepping some food for tomorrow, it's all screen-free time.
Yeah.
Go look your clothes out, put them on the spare bed for tomorrow. So it's like, again, do I need to do that? Absolutely not. Does it help me avoid screens? You bet your arse it does. So it all plays into a bigger picture,
So with that, like, I find that really impressive because that's one of the things that I can't wait to show my girlfriend this because she always makes fun of me because I call it clearing the runway. Like, the night before, I'll be like, right, I need to clear the runway so tomorrow morning I can just, and but that's one of the problems I have is, like, I'll do a big day's work and I'm like a real early riser. I'll do my morning routine and then I just go with my work. And by the time it gets to sort of 6 o'clock, I'm like starting to wind down, same as you. But then I'm tired then, and like the thought of like, right, getting everything ready for the tomorrow morning. It's like some days I do it, some days I don't do it. So like, is there anything which, have you just naturally got that energy, or is that just a discipline thing where it's just non-negotiable for you?
I don't even think it's a question of energy, Josh. I feel like I I think it's probably more neurosis. It's like if I was to go to bed knowing that that stuff wasn't done, I'd be like, I would see on my aura ring my heart rate was high when I was falling asleep. Like I can actually qualify. I can quantify that with data. Like I know for a fact that happens. I feel like it just does stress me out if I know things aren't done and organized for me the next morning. Like when I finish in here every night, like this office is always spotless. Like it gets mucky in the day just as I throw stuff about and try and find pens, and there's all the mails on the side just now. But every night we clean the decks, we clear everything down. I've got everything goes back into a pencil case, books go back onto the screen, everything gets tidied away as if it's like brand new. I then even run the maintenance scripts on my Mac every night, right? So the computer has the same version, so it's nice and clean and good to go. I put the computer to fully boot it down, turn the lights off, go through, and then I do the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I feel like having that kind of rigidity in your routine where it's just like, there's benefits to winding down the computer. Like it's better for the hardware, it's better for the RAM, it's better for all that. You are no different to the computer. There are benefits to you to having these boot down procedures. And the best analogy I can give to give this some sort of like tangibility to people, this rambling Scotsman, is I give the same analogy to my clients. So if we talk about a company that makes high performance machines, so we let's take Rolls-Royce as the example I always give. Like they don't do things by accident at Rolls-Royce. They build high performance like jet engines. Now, at Rolls-Royce, in the factory, do you think the rule is last man out turns the lights off? Yeah. Absolutely not. The rule is there's like probably a 14-page manual for how to close the factory down every night. It'll be 24 hours, but let's go with the analogy. Go with me here. Like, do you know what I mean? There will be a series of checklists. Why is your life any different? Because I'll always say to my clients, are you or are you not a high performance machine? And if you're not, you are aspiring to be. I'll tell you, you are. You just haven't found it yet. So we need to start treating yourself like one. So for me, laying all that stuff out is a non-negotiable. Even like before that happens, I will go up to the bedroom and put the diffuser on. And it has to be running for like a minimum of like 2 hours so that the room smells exactly how I like it to smell when I go to bed. It's definitely neurosis.
Mate, it's good. It's a life affirmative neuroses, right? It's not.
That's a good phrase. I like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you get people that are addicted to shit that's bad for them, but when you're addicted to something which is helping you like achieve your dream, then it's not a bad thing in my book.
I don't think so either, mate. Like, I really like these addictions. I feel like they're like very positive things. I do have a very addictive personality. Like, I do have that. If I pick something up, I go hard. Like on everything. I can't use half my ass. I always use my whole ass. But I just like, it's a funny one, mate. Those things really do benefit my life.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy them. And I just feel like a bit flat if I don't do them.
Yeah, well, it's transferable, right? Because like when you're nailing off your like to-do list or like all these things, like you must feel like you're going into your life, right? You're like, I can do anything. If a big task gets thrown on my lap, like I've got the discipline and the like drive to be able to do whatever's thrown at me. I always give people the analogy of like when you're in the gym, it just carries over into every other day life. So if you're the type of guy that goes into the gym and you've got 6 exercises that you need to complete, and you're like, oh, I've done 5, like the 6th one, I can leave it. It's just abs or whatever, you know what I mean? You've just got to force yourself. You've got to have the discipline to do everything. Just leave no stone unturned in there. And then when you go out into the rest of your life, you carry that with you.
100%. It is that. And it's just like, I think that's kind of the lesson that I really want to teach my clients, but I really struggle to give them any tangible kind of answer to is, if you can make these little tiny things so important that they just can't be missed, like how you do anything is how you do everything is what I say to them all the time. Like if you just apply that level of, I suppose, life affirmative neurosis, if you apply, I love that, mate. It's coming with me. I'm stealing that forever. I love it. If you can apply that to the small things, it will 100% bleed into the bigger tasks.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more, man. So have you always been like this?
Well, I'm mentally unwell. Yeah, verging on it. Like, I think that, yeah, bizarrely, like I remember once upon a time, a really good friend of mine who I used to sit next to at work, actually, he was a bit of a stoner. Not that makes you a bad guy. Like I've been there and done that, but at the same time, like he was like, we were getting on a bit, and like me, I mean, you're a bit old for getting stoned every morning. I go, whatever, take your pick. And I remember phoning him one Saturday morning. I think, yeah, it was like Saturday morning. It was about 9 a.m. and I phoned him after I'd been for a run and like made myself a really cool breakfast or whatever. And he went absolutely off at me on the phone, like, how dare you phone someone at 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning? Like, what sort of lunatic phones someone? I've just always been like up early,
Yeah.
up and at them, and just productive with my mornings.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah, I think it's just a part of my personality. I am rigorous in everything that I do.
Yeah, okay, cool. Well, that's like unreal breakdown, to be honest, in terms of like morning, what you're doing throughout the day. I think that's a great one with just making sure you're stepping away from the desk all the time. Like a friend of mine told me about something called the Pomodoro technique.
Pomodoro, yeah.
Yeah, where you step away it's like 25 minutes, an alarm goes off and you step away, you do whatever, sit in a squat or 10 squats or some press ups or whatever it is. And that's one that really helps me because I can just find that I'm just like locked in. But same as
You've got a MacBook, right?
sorry?
You've got a MacBook.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's one that you can get that sits in the tray up the top called Be Focused.
Yeah.
Which is like super low profile because I hate big, bulky, take up your whole bloody screen apps. It just sits in the top bar and it beeps every 20 minutes and you can just tell it what task you're doing. Or if you want to go like even better, the one on your phone called Tide.fm, Tide.
Yeah.
Tide is a pretty sexy app because it will, it like plays like the sound of like I've got water coming in against the shore. And it'll play that in the background for 20 minutes. And when the sound stops, there's no like horrible, like beep, 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 like horrible, aggressive alarm. It's just a nice chilled, oh, the water stopped. Time to take a quick break. Like I said, down in a deep squat, stretch it out, move my back, get away from your desk. And it's one of those things that every client I've given it to, even some of the most high performing guys who have like really like high pressure executive jobs, you're not allowed to take breaks. They're like me, I've been taking the occasional 4 or 5 minute break, doing Pomodoro or whatever. And my productivity is going through the roof. Funny that you can't just be fully productive for 8 hours. It doesn't happen.
Well, people I found, so I used to work in finance and like I would find that I'd be doing all like, when you just switch off, you go into autopilot and I'd like become present. I'd be like, I haven't done anything for the last 20 minutes. I've just been like, just sitting.
I mean, it's every job ever. Like, I did that exact same thing in consulting engineering. Like you're like staring not at the screen but through the monitor. Like you're it's like I can't even describe it any better than that. You're just like staring at the screen, useless. Yeah. Take a break, go and be less useless, and give your like I used to do this. Not sure my old employers knew this, but every kind of hour on the hour thereabouts. But if you do it on the hour, you'll get caught. So you've got to do it at random times. Pro tip. I used to go leave the office and walk around the block and get some daylight.
Yeah.
And immediately would feel like myself again. Just daylight, movement. Even if it's raining, I would literally go and put my jacket on. The receptionist would be like, you going out? It's like, yeah, just round the block. She must have thought I was nuts.
Yeah.
But I've always had these weird, nuanced behaviors, but I've never known, they were never driven by, I didn't make these decisions because I thought they were good for me. It's been something more visceral than that for me a lot of the time. It's just, maybe it was my parents.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was trying to harness a mild ADHD behaviour pattern that was like, just go for a walk and they'll stop talking.
But I think, honestly, my firm belief is like when you've got a healthy vessel, your intuition just becomes like on point. So you could like these things where you're like, right, I just need to go for a walk. I know it's going to make me feel better. And I think like that's one of the things that I can tell myself. Like when I maybe have a bad weekend or like over Christmas where I was like a little bit more lax on my food, my intuition just drops off and this like the drive and like instinct to know what to do and how to go with my life just like dissipates.
I think that's a great way to look at it. I've never ever considered it like that, but I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah, it sounds like that's, when I hear you speak, that sounds like exactly what you'll do. One of the things, so we've got 9 minutes left. In that 9 minutes, have you got any other tips, apps, weird glasses, like any other recommend? help optimize their routines?
Oh man, that's such a big question, and I don't have anything on the tip of my tongue. Like, I feel like people want all these little things, don't they? They want all the little tips and tricks, but I think like they're all icing on an otherwise shitly baked cake in most people's cases. Like look after the cake. And I think we'll take it right back to what you just said, that like if you've got a healthy vessel, that intuition is better. If you have a healthy vessel, stuff like this, that it will help. With the exception of potentially blue light blocking glasses, I think anybody could get some benefit from them. Assuming you don't mind looking a wee bit like an Elton John impersonator in the evening, you should be good. But
Mate,
yeah, in terms of
circular ones as well, so I'm like full.
To be fair, I want the circular ones. Did you want to know why? The hat is helping me out tonight because the lockdown here is something special. But my ears are definitely at different heights in my head, so they sit like that. Like, so if you had round glasses, you wouldn't be able to see it so bad. I need to get a new set, but I don't have another 200 quid to spend on another blue light blocking glasses that I don't need. I've got 3 pairs already, Josh. I don't need another. But yeah, I feel like let's really kind of like boil down what we've spoken about so that anyone who has joined can take it away. It's like definitely the importance of routine. 100%. There is an importance in routine because that routine becomes discipline, and I think most people see motivation as something that they want, whereas motivation is doing what you want when you feel like it. Discipline is doing what you said you would even when you don't feel like it. Yeah. So routine brings discipline, and for me, discipline is never a bad thing. Like, discipline is kind of like the root of change, not motivation, as is commonly misconstrued. So routine is key. Morning routine, what we're looking for? We're looking for light exposure of some description, be that natural, preferably natural in my opinion, but I mean, again, Scotland problems. So we've got light exposure, we've got movement, even if that's mobility, running, yoga, you name it. We've got hydration, for without a shadow of a doubt. For me, some form of mental stimulation. Like, I want you to try and use that. As you go through the day, you will get a more kind of fuzz, you'll get more buzz and background noise and white noise in your brain. And first thing in the morning, you don't have that. So if people are often like, oh, I don't like reading that, I can't really concentrate on what I'm learning, and it doesn't really go in. No wonder when you've had 9 hours of just like incessant noise from phones, mobiles, emails, colleagues, children, partners, the weather, the news, then you name it, there's just background noise. So for me, that's the essence of a good morning routine. Then moving through the day, we're looking at moving away from our desks more frequently. And yes, you have time. So the number of people say, I just don't have time, Matt. Trust me, as a man that runs 2 businesses, I don't have time to leave the desk. But I make time to leave the desk. And ironically, when you leave the desk for 5 minutes, you find 10 minutes elsewhere because you are more productive. So it's like a 1 step back to take 2 steps forward, if you will.
My girlfriend's a meditation teacher, and she always says, if you haven't got time to meditate for 20 minutes, meditate for 40 minutes. Like, it's just,
I love that. It's good. It's true. And like, I'm so into meditation, but it's like, as a coach to men,
yeah,
it's a very, very hard nut to crack. Like, I think they just think like men's preconceived notion of meditation is that you have to have like bang miniature symbols together and float and levitate and have incense on and be wearing homemade hemp trousers. Not the case. You could just use a meditation app if you need to, but like, learn. I think just people lack the ability to focus on one task to completion without interruption. Some of that is extrinsic. Some of that is the way of 2021. There is noise everywhere. However, I still think people intrinsically lack an ability to focus uninterrupted on one task. It's just it's a skill that is slowly leaving the species. And I think by spending 10 minutes as a minimum, I don't think 10 minutes is enough, but as a minimum, I agree, it's for normal people, that's enough.
Good starting point.
Exactly. Focusing on your breath, just getting you, and people, the number of guys like, mate, just doesn't work for me. It's like, what do you mean it doesn't work for you? It's like, well, I'm just like, nothing really happens. That's the point. Nothing is meant to happen. It's the fact that you are uncomfortable with nothing that is the problem. Because being left, like, I genuinely believe that the reason why men, when I say people, I mean men because it's my only experience, men don't like meditation, and most men will admit to hating running. They are one and the same. Running is you and your thoughts, and people don't like to be left with their thoughts. So I think there's a huge importance in learning to do that. And when I see my clients try to sack it off, that's when I'm like, now's the time you need to lean in. Like, I need you to give me another week, just another week. And then 9 times out of 10, they'll be like, Matt, for some reason, I just feel like I'm getting it this week. Like, funny that.
Yeah.
Like and all of a sudden you're more productive at work. You can concentrate on things. Like, would you believe it? But I can't make you understand the benefits of something, because obviously with guys that come to me, we're talking about optimization of everything, Josh. So if it doesn't make them 6 inches taller overnight, they think it's a scam.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you must get that with lions, mane, and cordyceps and things. You surely get people the experts that'll tell you it's a load of nonsense.
I don't know. Kind of the audience I deal with are more like the holistic health field. So like everyone in that field kind of appreciates what I'm doing. And one of the things we're trying to do with the products is like literally leaving no stone unturned. So with lion's mane, the same as like fish oil and stuff like that, you can cut corners in so many which ways. You know, the extraction process, how they grow the mushrooms, like where it's sourced from, etc., etc. And I've just gone through everything, not leaving any stone unturned, to make sure when I'm faced with these people that say, oh, you know, what about this, what about that it's just like I've got an answer for every single question. But yeah, I'm sure there's like people in the more like classic fitness world that'll just be like, lion's mane, nah, mate, you know, like I just need protein, creatine.
There's two things there. I think number one, like, I bridge those worlds with my clients a lot of the time, which is difficult for me because I personally align with that kind of holistic group.
Yeah.
But my traditional client base they don't know that they do, is what I would say. It's not that they just don't know that they do align with a holistic group.
Yeah.
But the other point I would make is that what you just described about the company and how you like look into every single detail. I came across the company by complete mistake, mate. It was just accident. Like, I just found you through presumably your own SEO, and that was forever ago. I actually remember it. I remember messaging you. I can still remember the first message I sent you. Bizarrely, I don't know why I would remember it, but I do. And I was drawn to, like, that's apparent to me as an outsider that is how you go about things. So I was immediately drawn to everything about the marketing, even though it's not about marketing. Marketing is how you present yourself to me, and that is, you're doing that very well, mate. So I'll continue to champion the brand as a result of that.
Thank you, appreciate it.
You're more than welcome, mate. You're more than welcome. I always talk to one of the clients asked me this week about lion's mane in his coffee. They're all mad for an upgraded morning coffee, like the whole lot of them.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
everyone loves it until they get the shits from putting far too much oil in their coffee.
That's the cardinal sin. Not, you can't put too much MCT. Yeah,
but I think you've got to do it. It's like falling off your bike. You have to do it once at least.
Yeah, you got to shit your pants once.
It's a tricky business. I remember the first time I put it in, and I don't think I even read the back of the bottle. I'm just like, how hard can this be, right? Wow. I spent the whole morning running about the house. Like, I can't even leave the bathroom. Yeah, it's an interesting game.
That's the hardest pitch as well, when you tell people, like, right, this is great. It's going to stop hydrochloric acid, you know, tear your stomach. It's great energy boost, converts to ketones, blah, blah, blah. But just don't take too much, because otherwise you're going to shit. Biggest off-put, man, is the hardest.
Yeah, I love it, mate. I've become known for talking about shit. Like, my clients know that I talk about it all the time, but I love explaining that to them when I'm explaining like an optimized coffee in the morning, and they're like, wait, hold on. So this is really good for me, or potentially, like, I'm going to shit myself. That's the fine line. I'm like, that's the line that you tread. Yeah, so go easy. And yeah, like, I love it. Like, 100%. I can't see me ever stopping that. I don't know why people don't do it.
Yeah.
Imagine drinking Kenko. What?
Mate. Granules.
It hurts my head. Like, we actually have it in the house because we had, when you were allowed people in your house, we had a joiner round, but not Sarah's uncle, we had someone else, and came round, and I made him a coffee, and he was like, what's in this, mate? It's blowing my head off. It was just like beans. I just ground him a nice coffee, and he was absolutely appalled by it. I'm like, right, okay, we need to get some more, a jar of carcinogens for people that visit.
Yeah. Where were we, man? We were midday then. Let's go dive into the evening. You were doing a lovely summary. And
yeah, we took a left turn somewhere, Josh. I'm sorry. So I think we got to about midday. We talked about taking breaks, Pomodoro technique's a great one that you kind of touched on there. 20 minutes of work, 5 minutes of rest. Or like I do is if you've got a job that you can split into deliverables, which for me is individual clients, then I do like 3 or 4. You have to play with that yourself, but you work it out, and then you break away and you have a hard and fast rule. 3 clients, 5 minutes away from your desk. Even if that's to pee, get a glass of water and move, get some blood flow, you'll feel a lot better for it. Go outside for 1 minute. Towards the end of the evening, we're looking at, for me, these are like a key investment and not cheap shit from Amazon, because I feel like that's the mistake that people fall into. And I don't know, but I'm a big believer in quality. Again, one of the reasons I've been drawn to the brand is like, there's plenty of people making MCT oil, mate. Like, but plenty of people making it shit.
Yeah.
Plenty of people making it with more palm oil than you could like. You could literally like destroy half the universe with how they're making it. So, a set of blue light blocking glasses on towards sundown.
Are they
definitely making
raw optic? Or
these are Swanwick.
Okay.
I've got the raw optics ones, but I sat on them, so they're literally like 45 degrees now.
Okay.
So they became Sarah's. That's how this house works.
Right.
Even Nixon, like he's 6 and he's got a set of blue light blocking glasses, and we sit with them on for night time. Well, a legend. He doesn't know how good he's got at me.
Gotta be done.
So putting them on, definitely making use of the apps on your phone and your laptop. Like I use F.Lux on the laptop. I don't even understand why people don't have that. F.Lux is like no brainer. It's like the night mode yellow orange color on your laptop screen. Do you not use that, Josh?
Nope. Download
F.Lux, Lux, and it will automatically change the colored palette of your screen at sunrise, sunset, based on your geographic location. I just double up and wear these. I also have the screen thing on my phone. That all runs. And then I've said earlier on about using dinner as a taking one hat off, putting another hat on. So taking off whoever you are at work, detaching from work email, refusing to go back to the computer, assuming that is feasible. Put your home hat on, put a good chill playlist on, get about with your family and make cooking something that you enjoy. Like make it more ritualistic, like experiment with it. Like I know you're big on that with the posts just now. I was talking to Sarah about that at dinner. When I mentioned chicken hearts, the face on her wasn't, I mean, I don't think she's keen to try, but I'll join you.
Mate, that's why the tablets are coming, you know. People don't like the taste.
But you know, like try anything once at least, right? Like, but Sarah, I think it would be a tough battle. I'll get her the tablets.
If you're gonna start lamb's livers, that's the easiest. That's the most palatable.
I'll go with it, mate. Sold. So making dinner, like your transition periods, nice playlist, some chill time. For me, it's then about like coming away from screens full stop. And I think that's the bit. This is the bit that people will struggle with most. Not getting up early, nothing else. It's the coming away from screens. And for me, it's the bullshit I hear is like, well, I use TV to wind down. I struggle with it because I'm like, but you're stressing you out. Like Sarah the other night, I feel even back. I feel ashamed even admitting this, but I'm going to go with it now. I've started now. Sarah has been watching Married at First Sight Australia. This is what I have to deal with. Right? Anyway, and it is literally, Josh, a televised argument.
Yeah.
Right? I don't care whose central nervous system's in the room. Everyone's is getting jacked up. Like, I was in the room for 2 minutes and I was like, I need out of here. Like, what is this? Like, I'm big on, like, I sound like a hippie weirdo here, but I'm really big on people's energy and what they bring to, like, their non-verbals, even all of it. And I'm like, the energy's horrid in here. I need out of this room. Yeah. So TV often, even like, people will watch things like EastEnders. That's another televised argument as far as I'm concerned. Come away from all that. Sarah likes serial killer documentaries. Again, it's hardly relaxing viewing. It's not rest and digest, is it?
Mirror neurons going like crazy.
No, thank you. So for me, it's like use the manual and analog tasks that you currently aren't doing that would benefit the rest of your day. That just take 20 minutes. Lay out the stuff for the morning. Like get the MCT out. Oh, why not? It's really easy to get out of the cupboard in the morning. I know, but we're looking for an excuse to keep you away from the TV just now. Yeah. MCT, get it all out, lay it out, get a book out, lay your clothes out, and then just sit for like, don't go into bed and read either. Bed is for 2 things, and one of them's sleeping. So what we want to do is we want to make sure we're sitting, just get yourself a cup of nighttime tea. Any of the nighttime teas. I'm not affiliated with any of them. Clipper's clearly the best though. If you sit there with a cup of nighttime tea, Clipper's the best because they don't individually package them. in my opinion.
What? So
You know, like Twinings and like Pucker, like all there's a paper bag that
oh right, yeah,
paper bag is in. Why do we need that paper bag? It's just more recycling.
yeah, pointless.
It aggravates me. Clipper just have all loose bags. Big fan of that. So get a cup of nighttime tea and read a book and just chill the fuck out. Stop watching TV before bed. I genuinely think that's one of the most destructive behaviours in the great British public.
Yeah, 100%. It's like,
what could you even watch that would chill them out? Like, I don't understand what options there are on TV.
yeah, you got nothing. You haven't got like, you're not turning on the channel where it's like soothing sounds of the ocean, are you? It's like all car chases or the football or whatever. Like, you're getting hyped up.
Yeah, there isn't like an Enya channel. Like, that isn't an option. So I think, do you know what I mean? Like, I think I probably would watch TV if I could find some way that it benefited me, but I have this almost, like I said before, life affirmative neurosis, where it's like I can't see a benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to a lot of people, potentially guys like you and I come off as like, people are like, well, that sounds no fun.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What enjoyment do you get? I was like, a tremendous amount, like beyond what I could give to you in words. But it's not about what I enjoy. It's about there's nuances to this.
It's just changing that mindset, right? It's the same with what I find with people with food all the time. It's like they've got addictions with food and they feel like that food makes them feel good, but it's that until you draw them away and almost detox the system from that, that then they can start finding enjoyment elsewhere, and it's like a whole new level.
Yeah, it's like with all things in life, it's like basically the Dunning-Kruger effect, isn't it? You don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. So like, I say to Sarah all the time, it blows my mind that I've moved my morning water from 700 to a litre and it goes down no bother. And I can't believe people don't start with water. And I said to Sarah, it's like, you think about the percentage of the great British public that is dehydrated chronically throughout the day, but they tell you they're fine. They have no concept of what it feels to feel hydrated.
Yeah, yeah.
People don't know how it is to feel well, or how it is to feel optimized, or how it is to feel actually like mentally alert and switched on. Like if I have like a couple lion's mane's coffee in a day, which I will tomorrow. Tomorrow's mentoring day, so I'm going in. Like we'll come at it from every angle.
Yeah.
That feeling of like mental clarity, it makes me a bit sad that a lot of the public will never experience it.
Yeah. Mate, that's been like absolutely awesome in terms of a breakdown of routine and everything. And we're almost 10 minutes over here, and I'm very conscious you've got to get up at 3. But I really appreciate you taking the time, man, and it's like been inspiring. For anyone watching, I'm gonna put this up on our YouTube, 8 Nutrition YouTube. Matt, do you want to tell people like where they can find you besides your Instagram, what's your website and stuff?
Of course, mate. If you've made it through 70 minutes, bravo. Thank you for joining. Thank you for staying. You can get me at the Muscle Mindset Coach. That is the only place you will find me to avoid any confusion.
Nice. Okay, awesome, man. Thank you so much for joining me. Good luck at getting up at 3 a.m. I hope I haven't like hyped you up too much for this topic.
Yeah, mate, I am pretty buzzed, but no, I appreciate you having me on, and I'm going to say once more, like, big fan of what you're doing at Ape. So thank you very much for all that you do, mate. Thank you,
and same with you. And we'll definitely do another one of these at some point. Okay.
100%, mate. 100%.
Awesome, right. Man. Better. Nice.
Good evening. Bye, mate.